Tell me about John Wick Chapter 4, which you give a 4.5 stars out of 5.
I love this franchise. Like all of them, I at least like a lot. This is my favorite, I think, of the franchise. The first one and it are kind of back to back almost. I just love this. I love the ridiculousness and the overtopness, and I know it's like Scream. You have to suspend your disbelief for what, especially John Wick can survive, and what he can't, and what a lot of other characters can and can't do. You have to suspend your disbelief, but I just love the craziness of it. I think the action's so well done, and I love the stunt work here. It's what made me. I mean, I already thought that the Oscars should have a stunt category, but I definitely think the Oscars should have a stunt category even more. After watching John Wick 4, because they do so much amazing work. They're getting in the middle of traffic, getting hit by cars, rolling down a bunch of stairs. Dogs are getting in on the action, so they do a lot of work, and I think that they deserve to be awarded for that. I liked the story here. I think it's a little long. It's a little too long, but I still loved it.
I did not see John Wick Chapter 2 or John Wick Parabellum. And as someone who did not see the second and third movies, I can attest that, yeah, there's a lot of story elements that I didn't quite fully get, but I got that there was a history with the story that when you at the beginning of John Wick Chapter 4, you're kind of picking up in the middle of a chase scene. It's not necessary to understand whatever happened in the past that happened, other than he's on the run. There's a reason why he's on the run, and there's a reason why the people want to kill him. Is this sort of like a Star Trek 2, 3, and 4, where it's kind of like a 3 or 4 film arc where it's all one big story, with John Wick Chapter 4 and 2 and 3?
Yeah, so if you really want to, all this happened because of what happens in the first film. So this wouldn't have happened if he didn't get back into the game. But yeah. So the second one is more connected to the finishing up some of the first thing, and then leading into the third. Like Sean Chandler, I know, said the third film almost feels like obsolete now. Like it shouldn't have. Like they could have taken it out, and we did some rewrites, and the fourth one could have been the third in the trilogy. And I could see what he means. The third one is my least favorite, but I still really like it. It has great action scenes. But yeah, to get some of the references and the callbacks and understand some things, I think it is really beneficial to watch all four. But I could definitely see what you're saying, where you'd still understand the basic thing if you just skip to four from one, or maybe even if you didn't watch one. But you should definitely watch one.
Have you seen John Wick Chapter 4 a second time
I
yet?
have not yet, and it's because of the runtime, and that's me with a lot of movies. Like you have to figure out a whole day.
Yeah,
um,
because it is
but no,
a
yeah,
long film. It
yeah, I
is a
have not seen
longer
it a
film.
second time yet. Yeah.
And I'm the same way. I haven't quite seen. I have not seen it a second time yet, because it is a 3-hour movie, or
Yeah,
close to 3 hours.
close
It's
to it.
like 2 hours and 50 some odd
50,
minutes.
yeah, and I would like to see it again. I'm probably gonna see it again.
It kind of reminded me of Mad Max Fury Road, because that's one where a lot of the action, or the motivating action of the film, happens before the film even starts. So we're starting into our hero on the run, and that whole first 45 minutes to an hour, and I didn't time it, and I really need to go back and time to see how long that first 45-minute section is, that leads to the hotel scene. And it kind of jumps around a little bit, but that hotel scene is so epic. And
Yeah,
so just John Wick being badass, but like I haven't even stopped. Like I was going to go, knowing that it's a John Wick film. I wanted to go in and kind of count the number of deaths. But there are so many deaths by
yeah,
so many different characters in that hotel scene, in that Tokyo hotel scene. That by the end of that scene, I was like, God, oh, there's a whole rest of the movie to do here. That's just the first act. So yeah,
yeah,
I love that this is a film that, yeah, it's a little long, but I would prefer it being the length that it is, and not cutting out scenes or chopping down scenes, because
yeah,
that's usually the way you got to do it. You either have to take out story elements, or you have to shorten the elements that are there. And even though there's not a whole lot of dialogue in this film, it's mostly fighting. because that's Chad Stahelski. That's how he broke into that business. He was a stunt coordinator for all those years, and then stepped in and did Deadpool. I love what they did with this film. I love every aspect of it. The only thing that was a little bit sad, and it has nothing to do with the film. It just has to do with real life, with the death of Lance Reddick.
I know.
Right before, and then the way that happens in the film too.
It made I know it made it more real. Yeah.
Yeah, it just and the fact that he dies almost right away.
Yeah.
And not saying it's a pointless death, but it's just it kind of hit harder knowing that he'd passed away in real life, like the week that the film comes out.
Yeah.
Parasite was the first film that I reviewed on my channel, and that was February of 2020. I give John Wick Chapter 4 a 97 out of 100. So this is the first 5-star movie that I reviewed on my channel. This is one that I love across the board. I took a point away on the writing category, so I gave it 4 out of 5 for writing, because there's not a whole lot of writing. It's a lot of killing, it's a lot of action. But there's not a whole lot of dialogue in this film. Like Pride and Prejudice, this is not. But the cinematography and the fighting and all the action scenes, I loved across the board, including the musical score. Like I haven't heard anyone mention the score before.
I know,
in John Wick Chapter 4. So I love this film across the board. It's my number one film of the year so far.